Hey guys, I'm Billy Dibb and this is my Snapshot. That's my 6'4" Impala. I purchased that car after my son was born. A really great friend of mine named Adam Huda was the owner of the car, and he pretty much said to me that I had to buy this car. And at the time I was like, I don't think I can afford it, Adam. And he goes, don't worry, I'm going to make it very affordable for you. He goes, but it comes with one condition. You're not allowed to sell it and the car's not yours, it's for your son. So that's the 6'4" Impala that I have. It's a one of a kind. It's a 1964 Chevy Impala, the only one that's right-hand drive built. So it was factory right-hand drive built and brought to Australia for a car show and stayed here. That was in a bout in Saudi Arabia. It was the first time that Saudi Arabia had allowed a boxing event to take place. So to be a part of the first fight to ever take place in Saudi Arabia and part of history is amazing. I originally was supposed to be fighting on the undercard, and then Amir Khan's opponent injured himself in supposedly a motorbike accident, so they had to swap opponents and they had to find somebody, and at the time he needed a visa to get into Saudi Arabia, and here was Billy Dibb with a visa, and that's how I ended up with the fight. So Amir Khan fights at junior middleweight, welterweight, and then he's Billy Dibb fighting at featherweight, super featherweight, jumps up to welterweight to face Amir Khan in an amazing fight. Obviously I didn't get the win, but I did get a hefty paycheck. Probably really one of the best times in my life during the time that I became champion of the world, 2011. I was just a massive Dragons fan. You know, I loved the Dragons, and Wayne Bennett was a great guy, and he gave me an opportunity to train with the squad and, you know, just come and watch the team play. And Wayne Bennett's got an amazing mindset, you know. I mean, he's got a way of getting into his athlete's head, and you know, I got to share a lot of conversations with him, and you know, during that time I was on an absolute high. That's why I think he loved having me around. I was a winner, you know. I mean, I was champion of the world, so I had that bounce in my step, and he loved me to be around the team and have that confidence. They really welcomed me into the squad for sure. That was at Anthony Mundine's last bout against Michael Zarafa. You know, me, Willis Meehan and Sonny Bill Williams were there to support Mundine. Chock's been a great friend of mine for many, many years. Long time. I met Chock in 2004 and had such I gravitated towards him, he gravitated towards me, we became really good friends. People don't know this, but you know, Chock's a very giving person. He's just an amazing soul, you know. He's very charitable, and he gives a lot of charity, and he helps a lot of people. And you know, a lot of people bag him for being outspoken, but if he wasn't outspoken and didn't do what he did, he wouldn't have the money that he has in his bank account. You know, I mean, obviously he knew what he was doing. He played the game correctly, and that's why he's in the position that he is today. That's me, Daniel Gill, and Greg Eady. Back in the days when we were on the national squad, and we had turned pro. You know, I mean, we were fighting on each other's undercards and stuff. But Daniel Gill was a phenomenal fighter. You know, I mean, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. You know, Olympian, former world champion. You know, he's just great fighter. He played a big role in my amateur career. You know, when I was living at the AIS, he was somewhat of an older brother to me, and you know, he guided me through the amateur system. You know, we'd often talk about how to win fights and how to adjust to the scoring system. And the guy in the photo next to him, which is Greg Eady. Greg Eady is a phenomenal fighter as well. You know, I don't think he reached the potential that he should have. Yeah, definitely great times through the amateur circuit and then turning pro together. That's the moment that I became champion of the world, beating Zolani Morali. It was just an absolute war of a fight, you know, and it was one of those fights where it could have really, to be honest with you, it could have gone either way. The decision could have gone my way, could have gone his way, and then luckily for me, you know, I won via unanimous decision. It was an amazing night because I had talked about how I was going to become champion of the world, and to finally arrive at that moment when you feel like you conquered the world, you know. That's exactly how I felt, and you could see the look on my face. You know, I was in tears. I'd finally arrived at that moment, you know, where I'd become champion of the world, and I'm just really glad that the decision went my way, and I got the nod and got to become champion of the world. So that's a very recent photo. As you can see, I still carry that same hairdo at the moment. That was in the hematology ward. That was a pretty tough time in my life, you know what I mean? Getting cancer was definitely a slap in the face. I wasn't expecting it and never expected myself to get cancer, but I guess, you know, God had plans for me and that was his decree, and it was a really, really tough time, but with faith, family, love and support from so many people, we were able to get through it, and I was able to overcome that journey, but it's something that I'm still sort of digesting, you know, to have just beaten cancer now, to be in remission today is an absolute blessing from God, and I'm really, really appreciative of that, and I thank God every day, and I thank the people who supported me, because I think sometimes through people's prayers and supplications, one's decree can be changed, and I think, you know, there were so many people in the world who were praying for me to make it out of this thing, and I'm just blessed to be here today. That was in a bout against Tevin Farmer, and it's so crazy because I can tell you about that moment in that fight. It was such a vivid moment. I was hit by Tevin, and it was a delayed reaction fall. I fell and I was sitting on my knees, and I was looking out at the crowd directly in front of me, and I could see my wife, my siblings, my dad. I could see everyone like screaming, "Get up, get up!" And it felt like a lifetime. I got up at the count of I think 8, and it just felt like an absolute lifetime. I felt like I was on the canvas for hours because I was able to rewind my whole life and just look at everything that I had been through. It was a moment that sends like chills down my spine. Like I've got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It's crazy because I was like, at the time I was thinking about Sarah's death, the losses that I had gone through, you know, things that I had, you know, experienced to that point, and I was like, there's no way I can stay down right now. I got to get back up, and I'm going to finish this fight for my family, for myself, and for my team, and for all my beautiful fans. That's a really cool shot that was taken at the age of 21. I was blessed with the opportunity to go to Vegas and train alongside Mike Tyson. That all came about when I was 21 years of age. Jeff Fenny come to my 21st birthday, and Jeff shocked me and everybody else in the room by getting up, and he tapped on his glass and he said, "Guys, I've got a major announcement to make, and I'm, you know, Billy, you know, you're a beautiful kid and you got a big future ahead of you." And he goes, "And I'd just love to take you to Vegas to train alongside Mike Tyson for the next 6 weeks." And I was absolutely buzzed. I could not believe it. For me, once I got to know Mike, it was just, you know, just good laughs, you know. I mean, I remember, you know, hanging out with him and stories that he'd tell me, and just a very, very giving person as well, you know. I mean, he'd give you the t-shirt off his back, and just, that was what I remember about Mike, you know. I just remember going to dinners and him just, you know, like having time for me. That was what was important for me, you know. Like, I had so much to tell Mike. When I first met him, he was really hard on me, and then once we sort of got to know each other well and that, you know, going out to dinners, he'd give me advice, you know, things to look out for, things to take part in, and, you know, and his whole thing was just work extremely hard and you'll get there. That photo was taken in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. That was a great time of my life. I was fighting on the undercard of Floyd Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya, one of the biggest. They had it down as fight of the millennium, so, you know, to be a part of it was just unbelievable, and not just to be a part of it, but to actually be in training camp in Puerto Rico with Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley, and, you know, there was great fighters there. I remember Panchito Bajada being there. I remember AJ Bernal. A lot of great fighters who were signed to Golden Boy Promotions at the time were in camp in Puerto Rico, and that was just after I had finished training, and Oscar was actually getting ready for his session. So I trained before him, you know, and he'd give us tips and things like that. And then after we'd finished, you know, that obviously 24/7 was the first time that it was being shot. It was a show that was would basically follow the careers of both athletes. They needed to clear the gym up, but we were lucky enough to be able to stay in the gym and watch Oscar do his thing and learn a few things from him. And man, just an amazing time in my life. What can I say about the Prince? Prince has been my childhood hero, you know what I mean? Everyone has a dream of meeting somebody when they're a kid, you know, whether it be Michael Jackson, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, whatever. For me, my childhood hero was Prince Nassim Hamed, and to say that you become best friends and brothers with your childhood hero is amazing, you know. And, you know, I'm on the phone with him often, and during this, you know, the journey through cancer that I went through, you know, he was such a supportive person, you know, always on the phone, always texting me, always messaging me, always calling me. You know, and he definitely helped me get through it. And it was somebody that helped me through so many things in my life. That's the greatest moment of my life right there. That's a hand that I dream to hold for the rest of my life, you know, and that's the reason why I fought this cancer so hard. You know, I wanted to be there for my son so bad. You know, my biggest fear during the course of going through this cancer was my son being robbed of the ability to go to school and tell his friends that his dad is around him, his dad's a champion, my dad's the best guy in the world, my dad takes me everywhere and does everything for me. That's really what was eating me up inside, you know, like when a doctor tells you got 6 months to live, all I could think about was how am I going to leave my son? Like, how am I going to leave my son, my wife? And so when you show me that photo, that's definitely the greatest moment in my life, because I remember posting that photo up and being like, the one hand that I'll never let go of, because that's my plan, you know, to always be there for my son, to be the greatest father, the greatest husband, and always be there for them. 50 Cent. That was a moment after I just signed on with TMT Promotions, the money team. So I'd signed on with Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent, and unfortunately for me at that time, Floyd Mayweather was incarcerated for domestic violence, and 50 Cent was left to do the deal. And after signing the deal, 50 Cent was like, hey, listen, come outside for a minute. And I was like, by myself? And he's like, yeah, just come out by yourself for a second. And he opened the trunk of his car, and he emptied his, he had a backpack. And he emptied the backpack, and a few things fell out of the backpack, like a couple of bricks of money. Big bricks of money fell out, a couple of watches. Some other really cool things fell out from the bag, you know, things I don't want to talk about on camera. I remember 50 just picking up one of the bricks and he threw it to me and he was like, welcome to the money team. And I was like, what? He's like, this is just a little bonus for you, a little bit of a gift. And I was like, couldn't believe it. And I was like, hey, 50, you reckon we could like split this thing up and like hold it and like take some photos and stuff? And he was like all for it, you know what I mean? It was when Floyd Mayweather finally got out of prison, he had discovered that 50 Cent had done a few things, and I don't think he was too pleased with the things that 50 had been doing behind his back. You know, basically said, it's off, you know what I mean? The deal's off, and 50 Cent went his own way and Floyd went his own way, and basically 50 Cent formed this company called SMS Promotions, and because I had taken that brick of money and a couple of gifts from 50 Cent, I was basically stuck in the contract. That's why they say never take gifts. And you know, although I spoke to Floyd and was, you know, basically asked Floyd, could you please just give 50 Cent that money so I could be with TMT Promotions and yourself? Floyd was pretty much like, listen, just give everything back to 50 and we'll renegotiate the deal. And I was like, oh man, this is just gonna get messy. And that's exactly what happened. It got messy and I got stuck in the middle, and that's all she wrote. The first time that I faced devastation in my professional career, that was about against the current WBO featherweight champion, Stephen Luevano, who was a really good tactician. He wasn't a super great fighter, but he was just good at what he did. You know, he had good skill set, and I was devastated because that was my opportunity to win the same world title that my childhood hero Prince Nassim had held and made 15 title defenses of. Nas was the WBO champion, and he made 15 world title defenses of the WBO title, and he came my opportunity in 2008, just after beating Zolani Morali, to win my second world title against Stephen Luevano. And unfortunately for me, you know, it was just a lackluster bout, and I just wasn't willing to go to that place of death because I'd just been there with Zolani Morali, and I wasn't willing to go there again against Stephen Luevano. And Stephen was just a tactician, and he just did enough to win. Setbacks paved the way for comebacks, and I think that the comeback after that was probably one of the greatest comebacks in my boxing career. If you enjoyed them stories, you can definitely catch them all in my autobiography, A True Heart, The Fights of My Life. These are the ups and the downs of my career, you know, the good times and the bad times. I've held nothing back. I've basically told the whole story, as you can see, and there's some really cool photos and shots that were captured during the course of my career. So guys, get out there, purchase this book. It's available at www.billydib.com, and you can purchase the book online, and I'll definitely send it out to you guys. Thank you for all the support, and God bless you all.